That's the focus of tonight's angle. The integrity of our elections is imperiled tonight. We may be witnessing yet another in a series of stolen elections in Florida. Democrats are experts at pulling Swifties at the ballot box. You know, it's widely believed that they resorted to voter fraud in Illinois and in Texas to tilt the election of John F. Kennedy over Nixon in 1960. And they may be up to their old tricks again. Ballot irregularities in Palm Beach and Broward counties in Florida are front and center. The president, of course, has been very vocal about what he believes is happening there.
Any evidence of
Wait, well, you take a look at the past. Take a look at the past, and all of a sudden they're finding votes? You mean after the election, they're finding votes?
Predictably, the media have rushed in to poo-poo any notion of voter fraud.
There is no evidence to back up the claim aimed at the Florida recount, but it offers a window into the president's state of mind.
To be very clear, and I just want to make sure everybody at home understands, there's no evidence to that story. It's a fever dream. It's like it never happened.
The New York Times yesterday wrote, in Florida, no one has offered evidence of widespread election fraud. No one? I love the weasel word, widespread. Neato. If one or two counties in Florida are engaged in voter fraud, it is widespread. It affects the entire state results and the results perhaps of the rest of the country. Let's examine the facts. Things are so bad in Palm Beach that Governor Rick Scott, who's in a tight Senate race there, sued the county election supervisor, Susan Bucher. The judge determined that she had illegally withheld overvoted and undervoted ballots from the canvassing board. And worse, she's refused to allow public scrutiny of the ballots. Scott has vowed to fight back against Democrats playing fast and loose with the voters' will.
I will not sit idly by while unethical liberals try to steal this election from the great people of Florida.
And the governor has also sued Broward County election supervisor, something of a kind of her own rock star these days, Brenda Snipes. Now, Snipes is, well, a piece of work. Her predecessor, remember, was literally walked out of her office in 2003 for grave neglect, mismanagement, and incompetence. Practically a tradition down there in Broward. And in May, a judge found Brenda Snipes guilty of illegally destroying ballots during a primary election in 2016. Then in August, a court found her guilty of secretly opening mail-in ballots, which is illegal in the state. Then on Friday, Governor Scott won his lawsuit against Snipes. The court found that in this election, she continued to discover new ballots. She was found in violation of the state's public records laws and has been ordered to release information to Governor Scott. So far, she hasn't complied with the order.
You refused to give the Scott campaign the information they wanted. It had to go to court. The judge said you had to turn it over. You didn't turn it over by the deadline that was given. That is cast as a partisan spat, that you're doing that because you're a Democrat. How do you respond to that?
Well, I was talking with a woman today as she came into our office, and she made some statement about a partisan statement, and she said, I know that you're a Republican. I said I have been a Democrat all my life. In this position, I have been very focused on party because I want to treat all of the voters in Broward County the same. We don't select who we give out information to. We give information to those persons who have requested it, and I believe the public records request says in a timely manner, and we attempt to do that.
And wait a second. Did she actually hear the question? This woman is unbelievable. The Miami Herald reports that an election worker found bags of uncounted early ballots in the Broward County Elections Office. Snipes also mingled rejected provisional ballots with the accepted ones. And then she proceeded to count them all in the official vote tally. Neato. Now a recount is underway where the counters must discern the intent of the voters if there is a mark on the ballot here or there. My friends, this is a complete travesty that cannot be permitted to change the outcome of this election. And it's sadly not restricted to the Sunshine State. We're going to show you what some Democrats are trying in Georgia in just moments. So what's next? I think as the Kavanaugh fight demonstrated, Republicans must stand united to expose the malfeasance and the fraud of the left. Because when we do, we usually win. You can't allow this flouting of the rules and procedures by corrupt officials or political hacks. Can't let it stand. And if we allow this to go unchecked, It will undermine our democracy, and like a contagion, it's going to spread across the nation. 18 years, can you believe it, since Bush v. Gore? It's absolutely unforgivable that we're still dealing with these types of issues. It is time for the Department of Justice to step in and do a top-to-bottom investigation regarding why these issues still persist. And if necessary, people are going to have to go to jail. There have to be repercussions for willful, fraudulent defiance of electoral laws. If this isn't cleaned up, I'm telling you, the GOP can kiss any hopes of restoring their majority, let alone a presidential victory. They can kiss it bye-bye in 2020. And that's the angle. Joining me now, Richard DiNapoli, former chairman of the Broward County GOP and current state committee man, and also a recount monitor, so he's actually in the room while the votes are being tabulated in Broward. And also with me, Blaise Ingoglia, chairman of the Florida Republican Party. Richard, let me start with you tonight. Give us some insight into what you have uncovered as you have observed what's been going on in your home state we all love so much. What have you found?
Well, it's a national embarrassment here in Broward County. We've had Brenda Snipes as the supervisor of elections for about 15 years now. And it's just a repetitive problems, one after another. She's faced multiple lawsuits over the years. She has illegally destroyed ballots. She has not followed the law. And there are so many irregularities in Broward County that all confidence in her is lost as a fair arbiter of, an election. And, just myself on Sunday night, an Avis employee from a rental agency at the airport contacted me and let me know that there was a provisional ballot box left in a rental car at the airport, which did contain unmarked ballots in it. So there are a lot of problems here in Broward County, and no one has any confidence in Brenda Snipes.
Okay, so a box of unmarked ballots. What could possibly go wrong with that? Just floating around in a rental car. Are they supposed to even leave the polling places? I mean, it would seem like, that's like having a test floating around, SAT tests floating around in the back of cars or something. That's just, obviously a lot worse than SAT tests, but it's just ridiculous. Blaise, I want to go to you.
It is totally ridiculous.
Yeah, Blaise, I want to go to you because Snipes seems to be in willful disobedience of court orders. She just simply doesn't care. She's making $178,000 a year. I think she got a 10-20% salary bump up in 2016, so she's making pretty good coin for screwing up another election. But why should anyone have faith in this process here? And yet all these media outlets say, oh, there's no fraud at all. Look the other way, no fraud.
Yeah, Laura, to your point, the Florida GOP, we sued Brenda Snipes after last election because we saw a lot of the same stuff happening this election. We got a order from a judge just telling her to basically follow the law. It was nothing more than just follow the law. Supervisor Snipes then went to court asking them to lift that order, and we had to go back to get them to put that order back in place for this election. But by her asking a judge to lift the order, and all the order said was just to follow the law, that goes to show you the mindset of a Supervisor Snipes. She clearly does not want to follow the law. She wants to do what she wants to do, and what she's doing is not transparent. She's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, outside of the public eye, and that's eroding the confidence in her abilities and in the electoral process that you are referring to. Here's the problem, and this is the big problem. There's so many problems going on in Broward and Palm Beach County, and this is where the media, the liberal media, gets it wrong, is they keep on saying that there's no evidence of voter fraud. What I'm asking is, show me that there's no voter fraud going on at all, because of all of these inconsistencies. If there was fraudsters that wanted to fraud an election, all they would have to do is head to Broward or Palm Beach.
Yeah, it should be the opposite. The burden should be on them to show that this is actually working legitimately. I want to play something for both of you. This is Brenda Snipes last night in a tour de force performance on CNN about the separated ballots. Let's watch.
Your critics point to 22 rejected provisional ballots that were put in with a batch of 200 valid ones.
There were 25 ballots in question, not 21, and those 25 ballots had not been counted as of today.
Well, one little problem there. Her own lawyer contradicted what she said today. This guy, POTUS, says he told reporters following the Saturday deadline to transmit Broward's results that the canvassing board had, in fact, included those provisional ballots in its count. The 205 previously open provisional ballots, are they included in the numbers sent to the state or not? Asked a reporter. Yes, they are, POTUS responded. They have been included in that process, but there's no way to separate out valid and invalid, correct? I'll go to Blaze or Richard.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the problem here is that if she just did her job, which is she's supposed to report the totals 30 minutes after the polls close at 7 p.m., and she did not accomplish that. While other counties across the state, whether large or small, Miami-Dade County with many more voters, tabulated its results in a timely fashion. But we always come down to Broward, where over 80,000 ballots came in after the deadline. And that's the core problem here. That's why you have these allegations of fraud, is because did those ballots actually arrive by the deadline of 7 p.m.? Who knows? Only Brenda Snipes knows. And that's the problem.
What's so concerning about what Brenda Snipes just said is that she either has no clue what's going on, or she's blatantly lying to everyone in that clip. And just think about this for a second. Brenda Snipes took illegal ballots and willingly mixed them with legal ballots.
That is all true. That is true.
Just think about that for a second. This is a supervisor of elections. It was such a bad job and such incompetence that they could not tell which ones were legal, which ones were illegal. So they were just like, you know what? Let's just throw them all together. That's the problem. And that's one of the reasons why the Florida GOP, we have been fighting so hard for transparency, because unless we know exactly what they're doing behind closed doors, we're never going to know what they're doing. We have no idea.
You're never going to know, guys. And I'm telling you, Republicans will never win Florida again unless this stuff is cleaned up. It is. I mean, every day I keep saying, I can't believe this is happening. But it seems to get worse on a daily basis. They want to extend the deadlines out till next Tuesday. Into some of the recount. They wanted to keep extending the deadlines and all these lawsuits because they think they'll find the votes. Trump is exactly right, guys.
But Laura, that's because they cannot win unless they litigate their way to a win. Look, there's not enough votes out there. You know, we had 41 of 67 counties report today for the machine recount, and Bill Nelson only increased his vote total by 49 votes. At this rate, Bill Nelson will pass Governor Rick Scott. In the year 3648,
yeah, this all has to be,
race is over.
This is ridiculous. But I think the feds have to come in. The state's not cleaning this up. By the way, again, some people might not already know this, but Gillum and Nelson's lawyers are fighting to include non-citizens in the vote in Palm Beach, I guess in the recount. So
we saw that in Palm Beach in the transcript, Laura.
Yeah. So that's in the transcript that came out, a couple days. Unbelievable, guys.
And the real battle has yet to begin.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for explaining this.